Hey there, everybody. Z here, coming at you live once more through the power of the Pearl Lemon SEO channel. And in today's video, we're covering title tags and meta descriptions, what they are, how they're used, why they're important, and how you, as somebody, a business person, an educator, a presenter, can leverage them to help increase the visibility and viewage of your site on the internet. All right, let's begin. So, what are title tags? Well, title tags are HTML elements that define the title of a web page, right? So, remember if you looked at the other series, we went into the view source. We spoke about title tags and meta descriptions briefly there. But in essential details is that the title tag is also sometimes called the meta tag or the meta title, sorry, right? And they serve as the clickable headline for a search result that is displayed on the SERPs page and in browser tabs. So if you've ever seen any Google search, right, there's oftentimes this emboldened title with a description underneath that. That's the title tag. That is basically the title of the page, or rather, the title of the chapter, all right, of the page. And that little description underneath it is called the meta tag, the meta description, which we'll cover next in the same video, that sort of gives you a brief understanding of what that chapter is about. In this case, what the page is about. Title tags play a crucial role in SEO, as search engines use them to understand the content of a page and users use them to decide whether to click on the link or not. Right? A well optimized title tag not only helps with search engine rankings, but can also track users by providing a clear and compelling indication of the content you'll expect on the web page, right? So title tags, when working in tandem with meta descriptions, allows a user who's just scrolling through the internet looking for an answer to the question or something to read, something to grab onto and sort of tantalize the taste buds to get them interested in what it is you're doing and what it is you're trying to sell, right? What are the key attributes of a title tag? Well, the length, right? Title tags need to be concise, they need to be catchy, they need to be snappy, they need to be quick. Ideally under 60 characters to ensure they display properly in search results, right? You want to keep them under 60 characters, preferably 50 to 45 if you can. So 45 to 55, that's a good space to be, but never over 60. That's too long, right? Keyword placement. Include the primary keyword that you are targeting near the beginning of the title for better visibility in search results. Also, it's best to have it in the first part of your meta title. But keywords in there are super good because it helps emphasize what it is this page is all about, right? You have to ensure that the page accurately, or the title, sorry, accurately describes, reflects the content on the page, right? If you don't, this can be misleading and can impact the SEO score. So basically what this means is that if you have a top 10 apples from around the world page, but you're putting it under oranges, like top 10 oranges from around the world, Google's going to pick that up. The user's going to pick that up. They're not going to like that. And you might get a SEO penalty in that regards, right? They also need to be engaging. Craft titles that spark interest or curiosity. Use action words or pose questions to encourage clicks, right? That's why you'll find a lot of these titles, if you go on the internet, are so alluring. Like they either annoy you or they pull you in through some way or metric, right? And another thing that you can include in there is the branding if you're running a website, because that can help get the name naturally out there into the homepage and important pages because it's just naturally going to be there on the website itself. So that's another important thing there. Title tags play a very crucial role in it. They, along with meta descriptions, are not heavily SEO impacted, but not having them can drastically affect how you're viewed on the internet. Because if you suddenly go through Google, right, and you just find a random thing with no meta title, no description, are you going to click on it? It's going to feel scammy. It's going to feel cheap. It's going to feel that there isn't this effort put in. And the effort delivery in the beginning, the first impression is super important because you've got maybe all of 5 seconds, if that, to entice somebody just randomly reading through a page to come back and click on your link compared to the hundreds of thousands of others they might go through during that time, right? Then we have meta descriptions, right? Meta descriptions are HTML attributes that provide a summary of the web page's content, right? When we say HTML attribute, it's basically a specific tag that we write in the HTML code or use an add-on like rank math to add into our website that specifically says this is what the page is all about. Right? Like title tags, meta descriptions are displayed on SERPs and can influence the CTR or click-through rate from search engines, right? A lot of us don't read the descriptions, or at least I know I never really did when I was younger, and even to this day I don't really read them. But those that do, it does make a huge difference in how they perceive the website, right? Because even if they just see those tags highlighted, because remember, sometimes Google highlights the keywords that they're searching for in the description to help people get a better understanding of what's happening. And the way the human brain works, the way the eyes work, is that when it reads that bold in text, it reads sort of what's around it to give you a general idea of what's happening. That's why good speed reading is just randomly emboldening words or letters or characters in a text and just reading through them really fast. It's a really good way to learn how to speed read, for example. While meta descriptions are not a direct ranking factor for search engines, they are valuable for attracting users by offering a preview of what the page contains. Think of this as the summary of the chapter you're about to read, right? If a good indication that your website is well titled and described is that if you line up every single meta title and description and you read each of them, right, which is absolutely insane to do, but if you do that, you will understand exactly what it is the company or the website is offering you. That is a very good and very high level sort of way of understanding that your meta descriptions and your meta titles are well made and describe exactly what it is that the website is all about, right? What are some key characteristics of meta descriptions? Well, that is simple. Length, first and foremost, aim for a description between 150 to 160 characters, which roughly goes to about 45 to 60 words, depending on your vocabulary, um, to provide enough information without being cut off in search results, right? So you want to keep it to that. If you're using a tool like Rank Math, which we'll go into later, this does allow, like, show you when your title is running on too long, or when your description is running on too long as well. So keep in mind that if you're doing WordPress, if you're doing something like Webflow or Oxygen or anything of that nature, just keep that in mind as well. All right. Clarity. Clearly summarize the page's content, right? Users should have a good understanding of what is expected upon clicking. Like I said, if you can read the title and you can read the description and you know exactly what the page is about, you've done a good job. That's a banger job. All right. Actionable language. This is very important. Use language to encourage actions to learn more, discover, get started. Um, call us today, learn more, find out more. These kinds of words that sort of tell the person this is just a tantalizing taste, get the rest coming in here, right? So that's kind of like what you want to do there. This can help boost click-through rates, but sometimes can be overdone, so be very careful about that. Care more about what kind of story you're trying to push through than anything else, right? Unique descriptions. Use unique meta descriptions for each page. Avoid creating duplicate content as it can impact SEO. Duplicate content on any website is a big no-no. So try and keep these as unique as possible. Even if you have to run them through something like Rollbot and then rewrite them, they aren't long. So just try and get the general idea across, even if you're targeting similar keywords like best shoes in London or shoes London or shoes in London. Try and just change it up. A few words in the English language. The changing of punctuation can completely change the context of a sentence. So as long as you're smart about that, you won't really have to worry about duplicate content. Keyword integration. Include relevant keywords naturally, but prioritize readability and experience, right? Make sure the keywords are there, but try to prioritize the readability of the sentence and user experience. All right. For example, if I had a keyword best shoes London, right? Um, I would say find out what the best shoes London. Uh, find out what it's a bad example. All right. If I was saying, for example, catering in Barcelona, for example, I would say find out the best catering Barcelona has to offer, right? All right, so something we'll find out about best catering in Barcelona, right? Something like that is a really good way of integrating keywords because your keywords in whatever you're putting as your focus keywords needs to match exactly throughout the text to be classified as that keyword. Okay? Then finally, why does it matter? Well, meta tags are an important aspect to consider, when performing SEO. While they do not have a heavy impact on the overall score, it is important that every page has a unique title and description. If you do not have a title and description, it's not going to show up in SERPs. It's not going to rank well. It's going to have a noticeable impact on your click-through rate. Having these really does give your site that extra professional look and tells Google you know what you're doing, right? While meta descriptions or meta titles in general, or meta tags in general, may not directly impact rankings. They contribute to the overall user experience and can influence whether users decide to click on your link. Right? That's what I'm saying. If they are there, people are going to want to start clicking through to your website. Crafting compelling and informative meta descriptions can lead to higher click-through rates and improve engagement. All right? What that means is that if you do it right, you will be seeing the rewards from it. If you ignore it, you will see the detriments to it. All right. So it's important that you try and contain yourself as much as possible to that, while taking into the fact that sometimes things just don't flow as well. That's fine. You don't have to have 100% score, but getting as close to 100 as possible on every single point makes a huge difference in your long-term SEO. All right. Readability, um, keyword density, um, content density, all of these things super important. They come together as one. Remember, what we've covered so far has been multiple aspects of differing there've been multiple aspects of the same concept that you have to slowly start to add together. That's like Legos. If you have only two Legos, there's only so much you can do. But once you add a third Lego, things change drastically. Once you add a fourth, suddenly a whole new world opens. Once you add more of these little nuggets of information, you can slowly start building what it is that you want to do effectively by removing all the fluff and tools that you don't need. Remember, there's a lot of people out there that tries to take advantage of people starting out in the space by offering this idea out there that this is so easy, this is so simple, and to a degree it is, but it still has nuances. That's the difference between a virtuoso and somebody who's got 20 hours of experience. One has spent their entire lives, literal years of their life, their entire existence, mastering one piece of one instrument, the violin, to perfection, while somebody has spent maybe a couple of weekends on it. That is the difference here, and that you will truly only start to understand once you dive deeper into the actual world and once you get some hands-on experience. But having this core foundation is super important. Now, if you have any questions for me, please feel free to drop them in the comments. Let me know, like and subscribe. If you want us to cover any particular topic, please just let us know. I would love to cover it. And yeah, that is it from me. Take care, everybody. Stay safe, and I'm out.